Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. People just coming in. Hope you're doing well. We'll just give a bit of time for people to shuffle in. But in the meantime, if you would like to, it would be great if you'd just like to write in the chat. If you want to just say what's your name and where are you today. You'll also get a chance to speak with your mic on in a bit if you want. But for now, if you just want to write in the chat and what's your name, where you're coming from today, that would be great. Hopefully you can all see that chat. Yes. Alison from West Hatch near Taunton. We've got Sam from Kent. Caroline McDonald. Tracy in Sheffield. Yasmin. Kathy. Debbie. Oh, we've got someone from Canada. Reverend Susan. Hello. Vanessa. John. Jean. Michelle. Steve from sunny Great Yarmouth. I'm glad it's sunny. That's good. Hello, Liverpool. David. Jane, Sarah from Truro, Michelle from Birmingham, Stephanie from Salisbury. Lovely stuff. Sue, Offord near St. Neots. Cool. I don't know what that is. St. Neots. Andy and Adept. Lovely. AL. AL. What is AL, I wonder? Is that a state? Is that like, I don't know, Alabama? Anyway, thanks everyone for coming in. I think a few people are here now. Reverend Sitar from, Pakistan. Fantastic. Brilliant. Welcome, welcome. Well, since we're here, I would love it if great. Okay, while we're here, first question I'd love to just start us with before I jump in to no, actually, yeah, just first up some admin. So some of this meeting is being recorded and you'll get an email tomorrow with the links. So the meeting is being recorded right now, and there'll be a recording you get tomorrow, which has that recording. And then on YouTube, we'll put up a version that will be edited, but without people sharing, so that people don't feel like they're going to be, sitting on YouTube forever if you want. Because I want to encourage you to share as freely as you want in this meeting. And if you don't want to be included in any recording at all, including the one that goes out tomorrow, then of course let us know. Yeah, but basically if you miss anything, you have to go to the door window. We've got 90 minutes here today, so if you have to get some post or use the bathroom or anything, don't worry if you miss anything, because tomorrow you'll get slides, you'll get a recording, and you'll get some useful links as well. There are also subtitles. If you would like to use those, you can just access them by clicking on the CC close caption button. And also, of course, encourage you to use the Q&A box for questions. Any questions you might have. Of course, you can use the chat, as people are doing currently, for different things. Just admitted some new people. Yeah, use the chat for comments and whatnot. But if you've got a specific question you'd like to be answered, then do please use the Q&A box, because that will give us a little notification, gives us a good chance of not missing your question. And I will do my best to answer any questions. My colleague Diana is also here, and she'll be available as well for some question answering in the chat. So yes, do bring your questions, of course, and your contributions are all very welcome. Yeah, great. So as a starter for 10, just to get us talking. So as a reminder, this is a meeting rather than a webinar, which means that you've all got your cameras and your mics available. If you've seen some Canva webinars before, they're usually webinars where it's just me speaking. But today you'll get a chance to chat. So you're very welcome to tell us what you're doing. The opening question is, what's something that you need to create this Lent/Easter? And are there any particular challenges you have with content creation? We would love to know. So if anyone wants to be brave and just tell us what you're working on or what you'd like to create, or what kind of thing you'd like to create, that would be brilliant. Okay, then we've got various comments in the chat. People are saying, got an Easter parish newsletter, getting the right size or changing sizes, posters for events. We'll be celebrating our 175th birthday. We need to learn how to use social media and posters. Images in shapes, great. Logos for various church ministries, flyers for Health Day, posts that will fit onto a Church Near You page. I made a logo, but then wanted to put it onto a flyer. Okay, great. Putting a border around text boxes, great. And social media posts, posters, and hopefully videos with captions using deaf-friendly and BSL icons. Great, okay. For Cornwall Deaf Church publicity materials and communications. And 13 churches, oh, that's, yeah, follow up to that comment. 13 churches across deanery, different traditions trying to look cohesive. Okay, this is super helpful to know just because, yeah, you're all working on such interesting things. So it's really useful to just, yeah, hear some of that directly from you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Hopefully lots of that is going to be covered today. And anything that isn't, of course, you're always welcome to follow up with a specific question to our email if there's something that we might not be able to demonstrate exactly in this webinar. Yeah, Penny is a background for collecting on Lent Easter. That was just in the Q&A, thank you. So that's very good, thank you. I'm just trying to write some of these things down because it's all very useful. Okay, cool. So as I say, hopefully lots of that we're going to cover today. And anything that we don't, we'll give you a chance to follow up. And there's also a later webinar we've got coming up on Canva towards the end of this month, which is Canva Advanced, which is going to hopefully cover a bit more depth than we otherwise might. Great. Can we produce PowerPoint type presentations, including video, etc.? Yes, Steve. I mean, you can do that. So yeah, I'll get into introducing what we can do today, just to give you a bit more sense of. So the idea of this Create Together webinar is that you guys are at home and hopefully you've got some access to Canva already. No worries if you don't, but the ideal way to engage with this might be that you're creating something, you get it open, and we're looking at our different designs at the same time, then we have a chance to yeah, work on those while we're creating things. David Clark says, can you show me how to do save as? Sure, we'll look at how to save and update your document and yeah, download it, and how Canva saves, which is slightly different from like other desktop apps maybe, because it uses like saves things in the cloud. But we definitely can talk about saving things. And you've mentioned lots of things. So of course, you mentioned these at the beginning. If you want to mention them later on, because we talked about other things, and you feel like your question got missed, then let us know. Yeah, feel free to make another comment in the chat, basically. So what we're going to cover, we got longer today than our usual 1 hour, but I'm sure it will fly by because there's lots to cover. So part one, we're going to look at planning your content, what it is that you want to create. We're going to look at how to get brand resources from a church near you, so you can use our Living Hope resources. And we're going to look at then logging in, creating a design in Canva from the beginning. The core elements of design will be part two. So thinking about how to make things look sort of basically good, and then building on that, how we can make things even more interesting, how we can add more color or more depth or contrast. And then I'll cover a bit of additional fun as well, things like some apps that you could try templates, whether that's Canva templates or our own templates and other features. As we draw to the end, we're going to look at resizing a design that you've made to make it work in a different context, and then saving it, and then showing those designs at the end. So it would be great fun if people would like at the end to share whatever they're working on. And there's really no pressure to do so if you don't feel comfortable, but it's always fun just to see what things look like. And even if it feels like it's a work in progress, yeah, it's just fun to see what people are working on. So would encourage you to do that if you feel led. Right. First up, I'm just going to talk a bit about living hope. I don't know how many people are familiar with living hope, but that is our theme for Lent this year. And I will just talk a bit about what that looks like and different resources that are available. So this is our Lent and Easter theme. So in Lent, we journey with Jesus on the difficult and thorny road that leads to the cross on Good Friday and beyond to the transformation of Easter Day. So this is all about what it looks like to journey with God in our everyday life, both the disappointments and also looking ahead to the hope of the future that God promises. So it's about deepening our hope in God and being part of what God is doing to bring hope in the world. And if you go to cov.io/livinghope, then you can find out a bit more about this. Just put a link in the chat. So this page has links for various resources that you can use based on 1 Peter 1:3. Blessed be the God and Father, our Lord Jesus Christ. By his great mercy, he's given us a new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. So thinking about what does that living hope look like for you and your church audiences in this season. So there are these weekly themes that are available in our daily reflections that you can get both in printed booklets and also online through the Everyday Faith app, for example, covering these different themes. There's email and app content. So daily reflection emails you can get, and reflections with audio on the Everyday Faith app. There are various things online. We'll glimpse some of these in our webinar. Got logos and design guidelines you can get to use some of this branding. So these colors that you see, that Living Hope logo, little bee buzzing around, that's all part of the branding that we've got. And you can get various assets to do with that and guidelines to do with that, so you can use those guidelines in your own work. Additional resources include, social media templates, covers, flyer templates, PowerPoint templates, that kind of thing. We've got Lent reflections, content outline, which is like a summary of the different themes that are available. There are also videos now that you can get to give you a preview of what the themes are for each week, activity sheets, and more. Great. Digital content. There's online services. Our national online services showcase a different corner of the Church of England every week. And those will also be going through the Lent period up to Easter. And our social media content is going to be building on our campaign from last year. There'll be prayer and scripture content, celebrating key moments, explainers to try and explain the more mysterious aspects of Christianity to outsiders, and people sharing their hashtag living hope. So really trying to encourage people to talk about what living hope looks like in their communities, what things are lifting you up, giving you hope. And we would encourage you to use that hashtag and also tag us, the Church of England, in your posts, because it's just great to see what people are sharing online. At churchnearyou.com, we've got a dedicated homepage on that. We'll see this in a minute because it's where we can get some of our resources. And again, really encouraging you, if any of you have access to a churchnearyou.com, if you're editors on there, make sure that your church services and events are listed on there so that people have a great chance of finding you on there. So on the Church Near, you've got the resource hub. That looks like this. That's where we're going to get all these resources. I'll show you this shortly. Digital labs, that is us. So we've got special webinars like this, looking at Easter resources, and blogs that are exploring various ways, different ideas for what you could be sharing about. different sort of tutorials and different things, how to add your services to a church near you, that kind of thing, how to use our different resources in different ways. So do take a look at those. Also, on our blog, we love to feature case studies of what churches are up to. So if you've got a story about something you've been exploring in the digital sphere, then we'd love to feature that in some way. We have our case studies where we look at something that a church has done, and we just talk to them a bit, and they get to share that and encourage other churches. So there's a link in this form, which again, you'll get the slides tomorrow, if you'd like to participate in that, to tell us a bit about what you've been up to. Great. Okay, so I will now shortly going to do a poll just to see where people's experience is at. So, sorry, let me just get my poll up. So just so I have a sense of where people are at in terms of experience, it would be great to know, have you used Canva before? So I've just put a poll up on that you should be able to see. So if you just want to answer that, would be great. Great, okay. Everyone's answered, nearly everyone's answered. Most people, it looks like we've got a lot of people in the middle, so a little bit of Canva knowledge, which is great. And then we've got a lot, and then we've got not a lot. 20% have used it a lot, 20% have used it a little, not at all. Okay, I'm just gonna end that poll and share that, just so you guys know where everyone else is coming from. So yeah, a few people have not used it at all. We will cover just some basic things on this, how to create a design from scratch, that kind of thing. But given that a lot of people have used it a little bit already or a lot, some have used it a lot, we'll also try and be relatively concise with some of that, so that those of you who know how to start with a design can get a bit more into some of the more complicated things, like, as you mentioned, doing more interesting thing with images and whatnot. So great, thanks for participating in that. Really useful to see where you're at. Debbie says, I've used other generative AI design tools, but not Canva. Okay, great. Good to know, Debbie, thank you. So Canva, just as a little overview, it's, as it says here, launched in 2013, it's designed to empower everyone in the world to design anything and publish anywhere. So it's really made to be user-friendly. It's not necessarily made for those who are professional graphic designers, but something that everyone can have a go with. So hopefully you will find that today and be encouraged that, whatever your level is, there's actually quite a lot of interesting things you can do, even if you don't consider yourself a designer or interested in design. Just to cover some things on opening a Canva account. There are different types of Canva account. Anyone can just have a free account that you can use. And then there's a paid account you can pay for, Canva Pro. But then churches, as non-profits, and most churches are non-profits, they can access Canva for non-profits. So you can get access to Canva Pro features, which you would usually have to pay for free as a church. So there's a link there to how you can find out to get involved with that. Hopefully a lot of you are using that already. If you work for churches and are using Canva already. There's also a Facebook group that is linked there with some ideas and different advice for that. Gail says, I've struggled to get that free. Yeah, it's definitely true that they don't always make it easy. There are different ways, and there's a blog that I'll send tomorrow with some things that you can do to show Canva that you're a church, you're a non-profit. It does just unfortunately seem like some people can get in and other people yeah, do struggle a bit. And why that is, it can depend on various factors, which I won't get into now. But in theory, churches can use it. So do definitely encourage you to take a look at that. Cool. So step one today, just thinking about our sort of create together journey. So in terms of planning, just ask yourself some of these questions to give yourself the best kind of starting point. So what are we creating? What are we trying to promote? What platform is it for? So as some of you mentioned, oh, we're making a poster for events. Okay, so what platform is that for? Is that like an online poster, or is this just going to be a print poster maybe? Who do we want to see it? Is there a particular audience that we have in mind? Maybe it's people who go to our church already, or people who are just passing by the building. One of our digital audiences. And what do we want this design to achieve? Is there something that we want people to do, an action we want them to take when they see this poster or whatever it is? And then some different ideas there for what you might be making. And you guys have given loads of ideas already. Thank you for that, for the different things you're doing, whether it's emails or posters or flyers. But maybe you're making a poster to advertise an event that's coming up. Maybe you want to share some photos for an event, but design them up a bit. Maybe you want to do service times for Holy Week, or you want to create a nice sort of graphic of a Bible verse. Those are just some ideas of what you might be doing. But if you start with that plan of what's the thing that I want to make, what do I want it to do, then at the end you'll be able to evaluate, okay, does this do the thing that I wanted it to do? And help you emphasize the kind of key things in line with your goals. Okay, cool. I'm going to stop sharing that now. I'm going to jump into a church near you so that we can get some of our resources. I'll just show these hopefully quite briefly. So hopefully you can see this screen now. This is a church near you. If you have access to a church near you, hopefully, I'm guessing lots of you do, because a lot of people tend to overlap when they're doing these things. If you're not an editor on a church near you, there are other ways to get some of these resources. But church near you is a great place to see them. So if you go to a church near you, go to the resource hub, click on that, and then you'll see the first thing that pops up is Lent and Easter 2025. And you've got downloadable assets for the for Living Hope, and you've got more things coming up there. So if we click on this button, then we go more into those different Lent and Easter resources. So you've got cover feature images, you've got activity sheets, flyer templates, Lent reflections resources, logos and design pack, social media customizable templates. So if we take a look at that one, we just click on it, and then we can see the bullet points tell us a bit of detail about what those templates are and their dimensions. So there's something for Facebook, something for stories, something for Instagram, something for X. And then depending on the template you want, so these would be like a template that you could add into your Canva, for example. You could upload it, and then you could add your own text and images to it. But the template gives you a nice sort of design background to start from if you wanted to use that. So in this case, if you wanted some of these, maybe you want the Facebook one, maybe you want the Instagram one, you just tick the boxes for the ones that you want, check that you agree to the terms and conditions, and say that I only want the checked assets. And then you click download, and those would download for you into your device or computer. Okay, so that's how you get those, and then you would upload those from your computer. Another one worth looking at, so templates are there, social media templates. Logos and design pack is another great one if you want to use some of the different assets that are part of the visual branding. So here you've got there's a little B logo, there's a Living Hope logo, some different formats of the logo, and again, you just tick the ones that you want. This first one, Living Hope Design Pack, is worth getting because that is going to give you access to the sort of branding visuals. It's going to show you the colors and the fonts and whatnot that you can access as part of the branding, and then you can sort of find those fonts in Canva, etc. So if you just check that you want that one, again, click agree and click which one you want and download that, and that will come into your device. I'll show you that in just a second. But that is where you get the resources, okay? So a bit later on, we'll see how you can bring those into Canva, but just so you know, this is where you would get the resources. So that's good. We will take that way now and look at Canva. So, chat. Great. Sarah says, I subscribed to a 14-day trial. I would value information on how to use it for free with pro features that I would like to use. Yes, sure things. So do you think you would have access to, are you working for a church? Do you think you could use it as part of your church, or is it slightly separate to that? Yeah, but definitely this is a good one probably to follow up on email about getting access to Canva, Canva nonprofit for sure. So here's the homepage. We'll log in. Great. Here we are on the homepage. Cool. So this is Canva. I'm aware that lots of you used it before, but I know some people haven't used it at all. So just a little overview of it. Okay. This is the home page. At the top, you can see a little search bar. That can always be useful for searching your own documents or just things that Canva has. If you're looking for an idea or want to make something for Instagram, you can just type into there, and that can be useful just for finding different things. If we start at the top right, if we just click on this little drop down, we can see different accounts that we have, and there's some additional options. And one of those is plans and pricing. If you click on that, yeah, so the diocese and link sounds like a good shout. Plans and pricing. Okay, so here see a bit more detail about those different accounts that you can get. When you go up here and you hover over plans and pricing, you can see those different options. And along here is where you find not-for-profit. You've got to search a bit to find it, but that's where you can find out that page about Canva for non-profits. Just so you know how to quickly get to that bit. Cool. So this is the homepage. You can just see recent things that you've been working on. For example, you can see along here, you've got various things that you can just jump into if you're thinking, I want to make a quick Instagram story, or I'm looking for video templates. You can just start by using these different buttons. And Gail's got to go to a medical appointment. No worries, Gail. I hope that goes okay. And yes, we will send those to you tomorrow. Thank you. If you go down here to projects on the left, that's where you can see different folders that you have. It's really worth organizing your things into folders if you're creating lots of things. Just yeah, to keep things organized, particularly if you're working in teams, people working on different projects. Templates, it's really useful, partly just for getting ideas. So there are templates that can just inspire you about different ways to lay out different things. And then you can just edit those templates to your heart's content, and you can change the copy that is used. You can change the images that are used and the colors that are used to obviously fit what you want. And a lot of these templates are just free to use and free to edit for your context. So really worth exploring those and what those So this is a pro feature, or not profit feature. The little crown there means that it's not for profit or pro feature only. But brand gives you the ability to create a brand kit, which you can then add colors and fonts and logos to a brand kit, and then you can then apply that brand kit to the designs that you're working on. So it's really useful. So we mentioned, for example, the different the things that are available in the design pack that I mentioned. So if I just show what that design pack looks like, that's unhelpful. It's not coming up. Don't know why that is. But there's a design pack. Let me just find it again in my folder. Here we go. Here's the design pack that we downloaded from a church near you. And if you go down it, you can see a bit of detail about the logo variations. You can see the different colors that are used, which are detailed with specific color codes. Hi, everyone. I'm very sorry. I don't know what happened there. I'm going to share my screen again. Last I think I was showing you was this. So we're looking at brand kits and how to add a color. Take a look at that to see how you can add a brand kit to your own account. But yeah, you could use our Living Hope branding, or you might want to use one for your own church, for example. So yeah, take a look at that and see what's relevant for you. And yeah. Okay. The other things down the side are, there are apps that you can look at. So the various apps that you can spend your time on, seeing various different tools that you can use. So again, we'll see what some of those are shortly, but worth exploring in your own time to get started with those. Cool, that's a little overview orientation. Apologies again for disappearing. Hope you didn't miss too much. We're now going to start making something. So we're going to go over to the left, we're going to go to create design. So here, obviously, you will first want to think about the format that you are editing. So what is it that you want to edit, to create? So whether it's for Facebook, whether it's for Instagram, whether it's for something in print. And yeah, so basically based on that, have a look, see what is relevant to you. You can also upload with a custom size design. So if you click on custom size, then you can edit specific dimensions if you want to create something specific for that. So someone earlier mentioned adding something for a churchnearyou.com. And if you go to a church near you, it does list some of the dimensions for different images you can add. So you can use those dimensions to add something in. Okay, cool. Just to show you quickly how to upload a template that we downloaded, you go to upload, you go to upload files, and then you want to find one of your templates. For example, here's a template for Living Hope Facebook. And then click on use in a new design. So using the new design and then click custom size. And then that will be using the dimensions of the image that you've uploaded. Click on create a new design. And there we go, it's uploaded with the template that you downloaded earlier, if you did download it. And then from there, you could just start adding things. But that's how it would look like if you were adding a template. Later on, I'll just show you an example of what different kinds of things you could create. But if we go now to just create a blank design, because I want to start creating something for a different template, not for Facebook, okay? So I'm going to go for a Twitter post, just because it's a good example of a landscape dimension. If I click on that, and it's created this for me here. Okay, so it's a wide banner type thing. But you obviously at home might be creating something completely different. Maybe it's a similar dimension, maybe it's something portrait, like an Instagram story, or maybe it's not for digital, maybe it's like a print flyer, for example. Okay, but here's our blank page. Okay, so just as a quick overview, you've got your blank page, you click on the page, that is highlighting the whole page. If you just click on background color, you can change the color of the page, and you can then apply a different color to that page, for example. And then you see these buttons above the page, you can duplicate the page. If you want to make a copy of that, you can also just add a new empty page if you don't want to copy exactly what was on that page. Click on just add page. You can zoom in and out using this slider. To go close can be useful for getting more detailed into your designs. And there are different ways to look at the things you've created. For example, thumbnail view, which gives you that kind of layout, or scroll view, which gives you this kind of layout. Okay, so some different ways to look at things, just worth knowing about. If you go over to design, that's where you can add templates. So we looked at templates, you can add those there. You go to styles, you can see different sets of colors and fonts that you can apply to something you've made that can just, again, be useful for getting some ideas. Go to elements. Here you can browse lots of different logos. Those are really useful for adding some different visual variation to what you've made. You can add shapes and different kinds of arrows and all kinds of visual elements. You can add photos, videos, audio, and more. Text would be here. Brand is here. So here's where you can see that brand kit. So before we looked at adding a brand kit, and you can select from your different brand kits here and the ones that you have there, okay? So that's pretty handy. If you want to upload something, that's going to be here. So if you're uploading an image, or if you're uploading a video, do that here. And that's all available for you, or audio as well. You can upload that if you've got something audio you want to share. And there's some more options down there, but we're not going to focus on them right now. Okay, cool. So let me get rid of this page and this one, and just go back to our plain background. So we're making, or I'm making, you're making something else at home perhaps. I'm going to make a poster to advertise some services for Holy Week. Okay, so we want to let people know what services we're running in Holy Week, and we're going to do that, with a poster that is going to showcase some of that. So I've got 4 days to talk about: Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter Sunday. So I've prepared some content, and perhaps this is something you would have as well if you guys know what it is that you're trying to promote. You've got some text somewhere. But to bring it all into play, so that I don't have to keep going into a different document, I'm going to use this little notes feature. Click on notes. And that just means I can add it says add notes to your design. I can just add the different information that I want to be including here. So for example, the title is Holy Week Services at All Saints. And here are the details of the services I want to add. So I know I've got these services that I want to talk about. And there's a little note that I'd like to include as well of welcome, that I'd like to let people know that they are very welcome here. Okay, so that's the kind of main information I want to include. I want to tell people what it is we're advertising, which is Holy Week services, and I want to tell people where the services are, and I want to give them a little call to action to tell them what it's about. Now, there's obviously loads more things we can mention. We'll talk about how you could add a link if that's going to be relevant to your design, depending on where the design is. And obviously depending on what it is that you're making, you might want to be adding different information, whether it's address. In this case, these are all going to be services that are at the same location, so I'm not going to add a postcode, but that might be the kind of information you want to be including. So yeah, that's our overview information. Because it's an image we're creating, we don't want to give people too much visual, too much busyness to be thinking about. Yeah. Great. Okay, so we're going to start dropping these into our design. Okay, so here's our text, and one quick way to just bring it into our design is copy it, and then you can just paste it in. And there it says, Luke serves All Saints. And then now it's dropped in, I can just click on it, and I can drag that item to wherever I like. So I'm thinking that's going to be at the top of the page. And then you've got these other bits of information. Now, of course, you might be tempted to just copy and paste all of this into the document because it's all going to be in there like so. But you can see if I do that, it's all copied all of that information in as one box of information. And if that's all how I wanted it to look, then maybe that's fine. I could still do some things and change some things like font size and color and that kind of thing. However, this is all going to sit as one box, which does kind of limit me a bit in terms of what I can do with the space. So actually, rather than doing that, I'm going to undo that by using the undo button up here. And I'm going to paste them in one at a time. Okay. Copy and paste. And copy and paste. And paste. And paste. Great. And a bit more information there at the bottom. So I've broadly got in mind how I want this information to sit. This is the title. These are the kind of key bits of info, and I'm going to add this message at the end. But we can definitely make it more interesting, can't we? Okay, so when you're making something more interesting, you might want to think about a particular theme that you have in mind. Maybe that's Easter or spring or hope. Or maybe there's certain colors that you'd like to use, for example, the Living Hope colors that we mentioned, yeah, different things. So we're going to focus on how we can arrange the text and the visuals clearly and readably, using text and colors to make things stand out. Okay, so to bring in a bit of hierarchy first, we're going to make this title the biggest bit. So we're going to make that nice and big. Thinking, yeah, like maybe a 40. Get rid of that now because we've used that. So that's going to sit like there. And then when you've got your text, you can change various things. You can change, for example, the font. So you might want to use Canva Sans. You might want to use Catabet, which was that recommended one that was in the Living Hope brand kit. It's quite similar. Another one that looks quite similar to that to me is Recoleta. Is not a world away from that. You could use that one. And then you can make it bold. Maybe just make it stand out a bit more. And you could also change the color of it if you wanted to do that. Okay, and we'll sort of explore some of these colors a bit more as we go on. But you click on text color and you can bring in some different colors. So let's bring in our brand kit from Living Hope. So we've got that to hand. Click on Living Hope. There we go. And now we can use some of those colors. So let's make that a green title. Looks nice. So that's a title. That's something to start with. And then we've got these different elements here. And what I'm going to try and do is arrange these in a way that is interesting. So I want them to be in chronological order. So the first one first, the last one last. So I'm going to make them in a line from left to right, since that's the main kind of bit of space we have to use. Is this kind of, it's a horizontal sort of wide canvas that we have. So I'm going to make it go left to right. So I'm going to start arranging these as such. There's obviously, they're all quite wide at the moment, so there's not space for all of these to fit in the way that they are. So I'm going to have to trim them down a bit, like so. And I'm going to do that with this one as well, just to start getting these in the kind of place that I want them to be. Got Holy Saturday like that. So what I'm aiming to have is title of the day at the top, and then below a bit of detail about what it is. Okay, so again, you can see here the slight limitations of having everything in one box. So actually, I'm going to take this and make sure that these are separate things so that I can organize them in different ways. Because this is going to be a title, Maundy Thursday, and then there's a bit of information below. So you take that bit, and then you can just paste it out of the box like that. One way to move things is by clicking and dragging. The other one is if you see these little arrows appear, you can move them like that. Great. So we've got Monday, Thursday, Good Friday. When you move things around, you see these various pink lines that appear, vertical and horizontal, and those are going to tell you where the orientation of this is in relation to everything else. So for example, that wide line across the middle is telling you that it's directly in the middle of the page. And also that thin line, the dotted line, vertical, is telling us that it's right in the middle of that text that is above it, which is quite handy. So start moving these things around. We want it so that we have the time above and then the detail below. Cool. Okay, so hopefully we can see things are starting to take a bit of shape. Again, we can move these things around until we feel that they're in a sort of layout that we like. But I want to add a bit more hierarchy. So we said that this was our title, and I want to make these things stand out a bit more. So I'm going to make them bold as well. Okay, that's looking all right, isn't it? Susan? Oh, sorry, Susan, I feel like your connection might be dropping a bit, coming in and out. Imogen says, can you save favorite fonts anywhere? That's a good question, not had before. I think you get recently used fonts that you've used recently. I don't know if there's a way to, you can obviously add them to a brand kit. I think would be the most easy way to hold on to something is by adding a font to a brand kit. If you use it a lot, I think it would be under recommended. But it could be that there is a way to sort of save favorites. I'm not personally aware of that, but anyone feel free to correct me if you know that there is. Cool, okay. A bit more change. I want to make these things into one line. So I'm going to bring this, make that into Maundy Thursday like that. That's going to be Friday like that. Holy Saturday. Easter Sunday. Okay, cool. These are starting to take shape a bit. Next, what I'd like to do, and this white background is a little bit plain, isn't it? So we can make that interesting. We talked about adding a background color earlier. If we click on background color, we could add a background from our Living Hope palette, for example, blue. That looks all right, doesn't it? Suddenly we've got a bit more of an interesting backdrop. And then what we do have though is just kind of bits of text sitting on a blank space, and that can look a little bit plain. So what I'm going to try and do is add some shapes. If I feel like if these are sitting in some shapes, they'll look a bit more interesting. Okay. So I'm going to go to my elements, and I'm going to add a shape. And you can see there that there are different shapes that you can add. You could search for a specific shape, like a square that you need, or you can just see the things that are there from recently. In this case, there's one there that I like. I quite like the look of this. That's a square with some sort of soft edges. Quite like that. And then now I dropped it in, I can adjust the size of that shape to whatever I want it to be. So I can make this, rather than just a fixed square, I can make it more like this. And then that's going to sit behind the information that I have there. Okay, so you can just adjust it until you're sort of happy with that. And we want a shape for everything. So if that's the kind of shape that we want to see, then quickly, rather than adding a shape in the shape, we could just duplicate the shape many times. So click on duplicate. That's going to create another one. But we can see what has happened there is it is obscuring our text because it is over it rather than behind it. So we're going to go here, and we're going to click on the three dots, and we're going to click on layer, and we're going to say send that square backwards. And again, it's now gone backwards, but there's still a bit more that we need to go further back. So if we send it backward again, then there we go. Okay, cool. And then if we do that again, move it here. If we do send to the back, it'll send it straight to the back. So that's a bit quicker. And then again, we got that. Layer, send to the back. Great. Okay, so that's looking all right. We've got our bits of information. The colors are a little bit hard to read. Black over dark green is not quite working out. So I'm going to try out some different colors for these shapes. So maybe one of them is going to be like this color. One of them could be pink, and one of them could be green like this. I think that's fine. And then another one could be well, just like we've used our main colors there. One of them could be dark, and then we're going to change the font so that it stands out a bit more. No, actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to make that white like that. There we go. Okay, cool. So now we've got some shapes that are standing out a bit. I feel like that's making a bit more of an impact. So you can see we're just kind of slowly adding layers to try and make things look a bit more interesting. And then we could add, we could change the color of our titles as well. That might add some variation. Maybe green for that one, maybe this one for that one. And we'll go for white over green in that one. And that one, I think we'll go for green over green. Cool. So that's all standing out a bit more. You can see some of these fonts are slightly different sizes. I just want to make sure these fonts are the same size. So I'm going to make sure that is Maundy Thursday. That one is going to come back down to 24. So it's the same size as the others. What I can also do to kind of hold on to these shapes, and because what I've added obviously now is text, I've got various text boxes, various shapes, and I don't want to have to keep moving things around constantly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a group. And groups are really useful when you're moving elements around to maintain their connection. So I'll just show you what that means. So we click on the title, we click on the shape behind it, and we click on the text. And then, we click and then we hold Shift and then click on the box, and then we hold Shift and we click on the text. And that has got 3 items selected, and then we can click Group. And now all of those 3 elements have become one, which means that when I make them bigger or smaller, they get bigger and smaller together. Okay, so that is very useful. So I'll just do that for each of these. Group that, click, 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 and group, click, 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 and group. Okay, any questions about that? If that was unclear, let me know. But that is how you do that. You can also make things even more, if they're not fully aligned in the way that you want them to be, then you can, a similar thing you can do, click, shift, click, 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 and then you get an option here, which is more, and then you can space your elements evenly, for example, horizontally, and that is just move things slightly. Thankfully, they're already pretty even, but it's just made sure they're evenly spaced apart. And then because I select all of those together, if I wanted to, I can move all of those 4 bits as one. Okay, cool. So a bit more stuff has happened. That's cool. This text again is a bit dark. I'm going to make that like that. Also, we're going to add in a few more elements now. So we've got our titles for our services. I want to make this text a bit more interesting, so I'm going to increase the size a bit, like that. And I'm going to make that bold as well. I'm also going to make it italicized. And we're going to make it this color as well, slightly darker, slightly lighter than black, like that. You can make sure it's in the middle, like that, with that line. And then I've got some elements that I want to bring in. So we're thinking about how we can add more, some more visual elements. So we're going to go, we downloaded something from Church of the Year. We downloaded some graphics. So if we go to uploads, we can find those. Although that one is not quite appearing. What I can add is my church logo, which is here. So that is here, All Saints. I've got a logo for my church, which I would like to add so that people know that this is an All Saints church event. Okay, so that is uploaded. When I click on that, that drops in here, like so. So I could just plonk it in the middle. Probably wouldn't be a great choice because I can't see anything that I've added. Probably in the corner is a nice place for the logo, just so people know what is this event, who's it by. Okay, so we're going to pop it in the corner like that. Can make sure it's kind of sitting neatly in the corner there. Another handy thing you can do with when you upload a graphic like that, you can do this for photos and for logos. I'm just zooming in on my logo. you can remove the background. So my logo's got a background, but I'd like to remove that. Not move it, to remove the background. And there's a handy tool called Background Remover. See that little crown means it's only a pro tool, unfortunately. If you don't have Pro, but it's a pro or non-profit tool. So we click on that, and this is a handy little AI type tool that you can use. And now that background is gone, and that is looking nice and clean. It's just taking on the blue background that is used for the rest of this graphic. Okay, so that is like that. Another thing we could add is a nice little something I've uploaded previously, which is this little leafy banner, which is part of the Living Hope branding. I quite like it. I like the banner, but it comes with this white background. So I'd like to remove that, and I can just use the same tool here, background remover, and that has removed that for me. And now that banner is not got a background. It looks a lot nicer and cleaner. So I can adjust the size of that depending on what I want it to do. So I can have it sit here, maybe in the middle, like that. Or I can move things around however I want them to look. Jean says, background remover is brilliant. Yes, Jean. Yes, it is. It's great. Okay, another cool tool for textual sort of emphasis is the background tool. So if you click on text and you go to effects, then you get this, and you can add shadow or outline or a little glitch effect. So various cool things. You can add a curve to make your text curved if that's relevant to you. But we're going to use background. So that's like this. Adds a little background to your text, like so. You can see that's appeared there. You can change the roundness of that. You can change the spread of it or the transparency. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to change the color of it to be white, like that. And yeah, there we go. Okay, this is looking all right, I think. I'm just going to make a few small changes. Just want to ungroup these so I can edit the specific elements. I'd like to make this slightly shorter. I'd like to do the same thing for this one because it doesn't need as much space. I'm going to ungroup, click off, and then click on it again. Make it line up with that one. And there we go. Okay, so we've got our information. Again, we could try out different ways of making it stand out. Maybe making it all bold if you wanted to. Or you could make it, you could do anything you want really. You can make it underlined, you can make it italicized. And there's various other things you can look at, for example, animation and more. But we won't dwell on all of those. Any questions on this point, do let us know. We've got 20 minutes left. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to, actually don't like, not so keen on the boldening. I just want to show you what that looked like. Okay, we've done that. And now this is looking all right. There's some different things we could do. For example, I mentioned the apps that you can use. So the apps, you could add, for example, a QR code. Now this was a post for Twitter, so I might not add a QR code if it's on Twitter, but if this was, and that's because it's online and it might be on your phone already, so it might be hard to scan a QR code if you're already on your phone. But if you were making this for example, a flyer, you might want to add a search for QR code generator, and there's various tools that you can do that. So for example, this one, you could just go for, just enter the address that you want to put for that, and then it's just created a QR code for you. So super handy, okay? And you can bring that like that. and that could sit in the corner like that. And a cool thing you're doing when you're just trying stuff out, you might find this helpful for the creative process. If you just make various versions of your design, if you duplicate your page, it's just going to copy it completely. And that will then allow you to just create different versions and adjust accordingly to try different things out. So maybe you want a version which doesn't have a QR code or a version which does. You might want to add something else. Like another fun part of the branding is the bee, the Living Hope bee. So they could drop that in as a little image there, like that. And then you could manipulate that a bit. You could rotate the bee like so to whatever orientation you want it to be. No pun intended. And there we go. Okay, so there's a version with a little bee. Hi, how can we get the design correct size to fit collecting? You produced some for Christmas, says Imogen. Thank you, it's a good question. I think because collecting is a digital giving thing, I don't have that information exactly to hand, but I think for collecting, they should have provided the specific dimensions for it. And if they provided the specific dimensions, if they haven't, then let me know, I can find out what that is. But you would then you'd create a design and you would, if you went to menu and you went to create design, you would go to custom size and then edit the specific dimensions that they provide for collecting. But if you don't have those details about what that is, then let me know, because I can, try and find that out for you. Okay. This is looking cool. What I'm about to do now is save this. What I want to do is make that beginning bit bold. There we go. Just makes it stand out a bit more. Okay, so here's a poster that we could download. We could keep editing, but at some point we have to stop and download our design. So let's, when we're ready to finish, we could just download it and go to share and then go to download. And then you can download it and you can choose the file type here, file type like this. Or you can, and you can change the file size, the file quality, you can remove the background, etc. Okay, so that's how you would just download it if you're ready with this. But what I would like to do is actually resize this design and move it to a different format. So I'm going to go to resize. Again, this is a pro feature. It's got that little crown. And you can choose to reformat to the design to the size that you want. Okay, so for example, it's suggested there Instagram, which is actually what I want to resize it to, which is perfect. You get two options for resizing it. You can copy and resize, or you can just click resize this design. You want to click copy and resize because that will save the work that you've made there, and also add a new thing, rather than if you just click resize, it'll move this to a different orientation and then you'll lose this bit that you've done. So click copy and resize like this. Then we can click open for that one. And now you can see it has moved it to a completely different orientation. It's kept all the same elements, but they all look totally different. They're all kind of placed in the middle because they're all much smaller. So it's kept the same layout, but we've got a different canvas now. So we need to do some things to change this so that it's using the space properly. Okay. And what I'm doing for Instagram, because I've changed I'm making this for Instagram, and actually I've got quite a lot of information here, and I'm thinking maybe this is too much for just one photo. What if I thought of a different way of laying out this information, which is to say, let's create a carousel of images. Okay, so I'm gonna if you've used Instagram, you can upload multiple images and they function as a carousel. So you swipe right and you get several images in a row. And that can be really useful if you want to express various bits of information in one post without cluttering one image with everything that you want to say. Okay, so that's how you would, that's what we want to try and create. So we want to have actually 4 different images, one for each of the services that we have. Okay, so that is going to mean that we're going to have to move some things around. We're also going to want to make sure we have a duplicate of each page, one for each of our things. Now we've already got some here, but let's just make some more. So 1, 2, and 3. That gives us 4 to work with. And then we will get rid of this QR code because that's not really needed for Instagram. And we can move this to the bottom this time. We can make it a bit bigger to fill that space. And, oops, sorry, this will just disappeared. Thank you. And then we're going to make one for each of these. So I'm going to start pasting these into each different one. Okay, so this one, I'll get rid of that and that, I'll get rid of that and that and that. Cool, so this is our bigger one. This is the one we want to make much bigger. Group it again, make it much bigger like this, so that it's got its own space in the middle. Gonna get rid of that. And then we do, which that is grouped as well. We could just copy this one. So if I just get rid of all of these, sorry, that's messy. Delete all of those, delete that. If I just copy box that I want to keep into this one, paste it again. There we go. I'm just going to move these bits around. So I appreciate this bit. Last bit is slightly chaotic. But there you can see we've got one for Good Friday, we've got one for Holy Saturday, and then we just need to get one for Easter Sunday is the last one. So let's copy that. Let's just duplicate this one. There we go. Okay, hopefully that wasn't impossible to follow. I'm basically taking these individual shapes that I've created and pasting them into their own pages. Okay, so they're looking like this. But we mentioned earlier, how do we add some things to make things look a bit more interesting? For example, images and photos. So that is what I'm going to do now. It's just show you how we can add a photo to this, because we've got a bit more space to play with. So we could actually make this much bigger, and then we could add a photo that is relevant to this image in order to make it better. Okay, so I'm going to go to my uploads, and I'm going to upload some photos. And here's some photos that I want to use. So for example, Maundy Thursday, that's when we talk about the Last Supper. So we could bring in this little image. Now I mentioned layering before. So we can apply the same thing, because I don't want this image to sit over the square. To make it a bit neater, I'd like to make it sit behind it, like that. Like this. So I'm just going to make that a bit smaller. But basically you can bring in that image and it can kind of sit behind there. And another fun thing to do with images that I think always just makes them look a bit neater, we can see that this shape has rounded edges, and I would like this image to have rounded edges as well, because I think those just can often make it look a little bit smarter. So if we click on the image and we go up here, we can see an option for corner rounding. Click on that, and then you can adjust the slider for however round you want those corners to be. Okay, in this case, I think 25 or maybe 30 is going to be good. That looks quite similar to the square that I've got as well. So that's good. We can just stick with that. And now we've got an image behind our bit of text. So then we can just apply the same thing for this one. Okay, so Good Friday. We can bring in this one of the crosses that we have. So again, we make it a bit smaller, adjust to the size that we want, add some corner rounding. A very handy thing you can do, if you like a style of a certain image that you have, then you can just copy that style. So for example, if I like the rounded edges here, I can go on here and go to this roller brush, which says copy style. And then I can just paste that onto that. And then that means that that has rounded corners as well. So that's a nice quick way to add that little feature to the other image, so that I don't have to then individually change the things. Layer that to send it backwards, like so. And then we've got this one. Just bring that in. Send it back, copy the style, make those corners round. And then lastly, Easter Sunday, we'll have a nice little sunrise image. Okay, bring that in like so. So we are happy with that. Layer it so it's behind. Copy the style again and paste. So the person that asked about making images a bit more interesting, I hope that helps somewhat. Kind of a sort of getting started with that at least. And if you like this sort of relationship between the two, again, you can group these elements so that now you can move them around as one, and you can pause that there. But there we go. This is our final sort of bit, so we can add this final bit of text to our last post. So maybe drag that in a bit, make it bigger. All are welcome. Find a living hope with us this Easter. Don't know why that's struggling to get into the middle. There we go. Cool. Okay, so that was just an example of how you can create a poster for each of those things. We are sort of towards the end now. I just want to show you quick examples of some other things that you could do. We just open up our recent files. So, for example, if you wanted to use the Living Hope branding, Jean said, did we cover Save As? Yeah, we'll just mention that in a second. I mentioned the branding. Okay, if you wanted to upload, we saw how to upload with the template earlier. Here's how you could take some of that similar information and add it to a template. Okay, so it would be similar information, but we upload that one as the template and then we just add it to it like that. Okay, so that's an example of how to do that, just so you know about that. Save as. Okay, so everything in Canva gets saved as long as you're connected to the internet. Yasmin says that's been incredibly informative. I'm very glad to hear that, Yasmin. Thank you. Everything gets saved to the cloud in Canva. So as long as you're connected to the internet, it will save it. You don't have to click Save As. But if you want to move it to a specific folder, you might want to like move it to a certain place, or you might want to make a copy because you want to save a certain version, but then edit a duplicate version of it. Then you could do make a copy, and then download is how you would save it in terms of keeping it so that you've got it to share it in an email or share it on different whatever format you want to share it or social media. So hopefully that covers that. But basically, unlike Microsoft Word, when you're on a desktop or something, you don't have to do Control S to save it as a certain thing. If you want to save it as a new folder or new document, then yeah, I would suggest make a copy and then it will save that as something separate. And if you want to move it to a certain place, then you move it to a folder. But it will, if it's not saved, then you won't get this little cloud with a tick, and that will be because you're not online, basically. But if you are, then yeah, that's how that will look. Okay, cool. Hopefully that covers that. Good. Okay, so there's a bit of information there. One other thing to say is that, yeah, you could play around with these lots more. Okay, as we kind of whiz through various options. If I was making a carousel, for example, I might want to add like a little arrow graphic to the bottom of these images so that I can remind our readers that we want them to scroll to the right, for example. Okay, so if you search for arrow, then you can drop that in like so. Nice little white arrow there. And if you just drop that at the bottom, you could add that at the bottom of each page to say, hey everyone, scroll right to the next bit of the carousel. Great. Also, regarding the save as question, you can also change the name of your document up here, okay? So at the moment it's called Holy Week Services at All Saints. It's just taken my title and it knows the dimensions. But you can change the title of your document up there. So if you wanted to say Holy Week Instagram, then that would be like that. Just type the name into there. Hope that is helpful. Good. Okay, when you're ready to download it, you're happy with the layout that you have, then you can go to share and you can go to download. I don't know if you have been creating things at home right now, but if you would like to share anything that you've made, then please do so, because it would be fun to see what people have been working on. So if you want to download that, you go to file type, select the one you want, and then select the pages that you want, and then click done, and then click download, and that's going to download for you. Tracy says that was really helpful. Thank you. I'll be booking on more. Well, that's great to know. Holly says, if you have a pro account / nonprofit, can more than one person have access, or do they use the same login details? Yes, more than one person can have access. You can have multiple people added to an account. So I think it's, I forget the number exactly, maybe 50 to a pro or non-profit, I think. It might depend. Yeah. If you look into it, should, if you go to your team, it should tell you. I don't want to open it up because it shouldn't reveal all the details of our account. But basically, yes, you can have multiple people have access to like a team account. So hopefully that answers that one. If anyone wants to share anything in the chat with people that they've been working on, that would be great. Sarah says that would be helpful. Follow up on advanced features would be great. We've had a time to play around with those features. Absolutely, Sarah. And if you want to get in touch with any particular suggestions, I know you mentioned some earlier, but if you do want to just get in touch with anything particular, because we're doing an advanced webinar at the end of March to hopefully get a bit more into that. So hopefully that will be helpful for that. Martin says, quickly, can you cover inserting photos into circles? Yeah, sure. So you can create a go to elements, and then you go to frames, I think is what you're thinking of. So if you go to frames, and you get a circle shaped frame, if you do it like that, then if you add an image like the one that we uploaded into the frame, drag it into the frame, and there you've got a circle, a photo in a circle. Does that answer that one, Martin? So it was elements, and then scroll down to frames, and then pick the shape that you want, and then it makes it like that. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Another way to do it would be to, if you did rounded edges for an image, then you could make the edges really, really round like that. And that's, I mean, that's not really a circle, but it's kind of close to a circle. But that's how you could do that. Okay, I hope that one helped, Martin. Let me know if not. Anyone else, anything they just want to ask about or say or share? I don't think anyone's shared what they've been working on, which is fine. No pressure to do so. But yeah, we've reached our 1 hour mark. So can we merge the photo and the text? Says Steve. Could you clarify, Steve, what we mean by merge? Do you mean group them together? Can you have a soft border between the two? Yeah, I'm just sorry, Steve. I may be having a dim moment, but I think I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to. But maybe that's because it's just the very end of the webinar. But yeah. Do you mean, yeah, I mean, you can group text and image together. For example, if you wanted them to, fit together, you wanted to have your photo behind your image, and you wanted to have them like that, and then group them like that, and then they're going to sort of move around like that. That could be, I don't think that's necessarily what you're talking about. Sometimes the images doesn't fit into the circle. Oh, okay. Do you mean like when it's if it's kind of cropped? Because if it's like a big image, you can kind of change how much is cropped. In this case, it was just a square image. But if we just get a different example, like bring in another circle. So it's just, yeah. And bring in a different image like this one. If we click twice on it, then we can adjust a bit what is in that frame like that. So that's how you can adjust the frame that you've got, what's like exactly in the frame. Can you select more than one box at a time to change everything selected, said Catherine Beckett. Maybe that was answered already, I don't know. But yeah, the answer is yes. You can select as many things as you want by clicking Control and Shift. And again, Catherine said, I'm struggling to add my design colors to the brand kit from my logo. Okay, Catherine, sorry to hear that. So if so you want to go to brand kit. I don't know if it's helpful for me to kind of go over that again. If you go to the brand kit section of sort of Canva home, is it that you can't find the code, or is it something different? So this would be where you go to the color palette, and then you click on Add New for color. And then you could just choose from any of the colors they have, or you could add the specific code, which, as I mentioned, is in this design pack under web, and then you got the number there to add. I have an image uploaded and I wanted to use the colors in the image. Okay, I see. Yeah, you wanted to add the colors. You've uploaded an image. So one thing that you should find, is when you add an image, it should give you the option when you're selecting colors. It does possibly depend on what you've added, but when you then add something else, you should have the option to use photo colors. So you go to cut text color, or whatever the color is, and then you've got your document colors, or you've got photo colors. So that is like picking out the colors that are in the photo. So that's where you should be able to see those, is under photo colors, when you go to select the color of something. Great. Thanks, Catherine. Hope that answered that. Good. Well, I think we're sort of that is our time now for today. But thanks so much for joining. Sincere apologies once again for leaving you. It's nothing personal. No worries, Jean. Glad that's been excellent for you. Really helpful. Great. Catherine, thanks for a great session. Jane says thank you. Good. As always, anything you want to follow up on and message about, please do. Because there'll be more things you want to talk about, then please get in touch. Great. And you'll get a recording tomorrow. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Diana, for answering questions as well. That's been great. So I hope you all have a great day and have fun designing things for Lent and Easter. Goodbye.